A lot of people think I'm a brute or just a hint of arrogant, but I was born in this. Like, I don't give a fuck what you can bring. I will bring it harder.
I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Prestige Living Podcast. So with that, who do you want to be? Hello, welcome to Prestige Living, your local podcast that hosts the entrepreneurs of Orange County. I'm your host, Jay O'Brien, here with your co-hosts, Jordan Wilson.
Yes.
And Kane German.
Hola.
So for those of you...
Wait, hold on. Let me say hola again. This microphone's going to blow up. Do you guys hear my voice? Do I explode?
Yeah, we got to replace that thing.
Hola.
Still too close.
Goddamn.
That's awful. Maybe you should just leave. Or come over here. Okay, so for those of you who have trouble finding the perfect suit and can't find the balance between an off-the-rack outfit and a $3,000 custom-fit suit, your solution is with us today. Our guest hails from Irvine and has developed the perfect blend of affordable and stylish. The name of the company is Combatant Gentlemen. You may have heard it. Created to help men dress smarter, more affordably, and most importantly, conveniently online, which we love. I'm personally a customer and love their product. Please welcome founder Vishaal Melwani.
Yeah, you hit it.
I got it good. Okay, so Vishaal, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys taking the time to chat.
Let's talk about you taking the time.
You're the one that got off a flight.
So you just landed a few hours ago from a flight out of China.
Yeah. So we produce a lot of our final production in China. So we're gearing up for fall right now. So I just went over there real quick for about a 29-hour trip. Check the factories out, make sure everything's going good, and then hop back on a plane.
Dude.
Well, more power to you.
Thanks.
That's like worse than a Vegas turnaround.
Who's your airline of choice?
Singapore Airlines.
Okay.
Lands you right in southern China. Then I just take a Dragon Air trip up to northern China. And between both those stops, I'll check out all our factories.
How many factories do you have over there?
We have 8 factories over there. And then another 6 factories, or I guess raw material factories that are based in Italy. So we produce all of our own wool. For part of it, we shave our own sheep and produce our own wool. And then for the other part, we work with some high-end mills in Italy, in Bella, Italy. And we export the fabric over to China to get manufactured.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Okay, so we have a lot of questions.
Awesome.
So the way that this whole thing got started, you started in 2012, right?
Yeah. It actually started a long time before then. So I'm a third-generation tailor. I was actually born and raised in Vegas. My parents owned and operated all the Gianni Versace boutiques on the West Coast. Oh, wow. So it was headquartered out in Vegas. That was the biggest store, and then we had stores all over California, all the way down into Houston, all that kind of stuff. And my dad is a master tailor, so he.
What does that mean, master tailor?
Basically, he has his mastery in tailoring under another master tailor. Basically, there's only a few programs in the world that offer a mastery in tailoring. It's got like an apprenticeship, like a blacksmith or like I guess anything else.
First thing that came to my head was like a sommelier, like different levels.
Yeah,
That's cool. They don't have stuff like that anymore.
No. It's really rare, and the art is completely dying. I apprenticed under him when I was 7, and then I guess I'm still apprenticing under him every now and then. But that's the background. So then I moved out here when I was 18 to go to UCI, and then I kind of been here ever since. So yeah, that's kind of like that.
Dude.
So you said it started before 2012 because you were tailoring before that?
I was tailoring before then. So when I got out of UCI, I actually started working for a Japanese trading firm. So moved over. I was spending 3 months in Japan, 3 months here, 3 months in Japan, and I was basically working with a small team to create and help younger brands in the denim space in America get Japanese denim over here in the U.S. So I did a lot of early tailoring, stuff like that. After I left, I started a custom denim brand where I was tailoring custom denim in LA for a lot of different people, and that's kind of where the whole fashion game started for me. And then the idea of Combatant Gentlemen started to trickle in at that point.
So why Combatant Gentlemen? Why is that the name?
Yeah, so around 2010 or so, like the height of the recession, a lot of my buddies who graduated college with me were now graduating B school and law school and all that kind of stuff, and they were moving out east to go work in finance, whether it was like Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or whatever, and they had this like pipe dream that they thought they were going to just like, you know, banging chicks, do and blow, you know, alcohol, the whole 9 yards, and then living in this amazing penthouse. And really, when they got down there, the reality was their paychecks sucked, and they hired like 4 people like into a shitty apartment in like Midtown, right? So the big issue was that, you know, in New York, a lot of it was the mentality was fake it till you make it, right? You still have to go out, you still have to dress the part, you still have to look really good when you are at work, and you know your MD's there and all that kind of stuff. And they didn't want to go to Men's Warehouse. That was their biggest fear. Was like, oh shit, I gotta go to Men's Warehouse, or I gotta go to Jose Bank, or Kohl's or something like that. And you know, at that point, what I saw them doing was they were going to Hugo Boss and they were like trading shirts and trading suits, and they were like, hey, I wore this on Monday and Wednesday, can I get this on Tuesday and Thursday? And I was like, what the hell are you guys doing? And they're like, hey man, it's really expensive and we hate Men's Warehouse. So then, you know, kind of dawned on me. I was like, holy shit, there's this huge white space in the suiting space. It's either like, if you're going inexpensive, it's these like shit ass, like, you know, 3-day broker suits, or it's like super high end. And in the middle you have Men's Warehouse, who kind of claims to be price conscious and, you know, very neighborhood friendly, but lame at the same time.
You're
right?
gonna like the way you look.
Yeah, exactly.
I guarantee it.
So we started off. So my cousin Mo, who came from the same family background that I did, and my chief technical officer Scott Rayo, who's one of my best friends for a long time. We said, hey, let's start this. We were inspired by the likes of like Warby Parker.
Oh, yeah.
And we were like, shit, let's sell suits online. And at that time, there was no one selling suits online. So we got a lot of pushback early on, like, how the hell are you guys going to do this with fit and stuff like that? So we came up with cool, you know, new techniques, developed like a site that we thought was very user-friendly to our guy, really, really clean, and then high fashion oriented with a really low-end price tag. And we launched and here we are today.
That's awesome. So who are your competitors online?
Yeah, you know, I think the space is amazing, and I don't look at competitors as competition because we're Combatant Gentlemen and we're going to fuck them all up. But I think in the long run, I think, you know, there are people. There are some great brands out there. We love the guys at Bonobos. We love the guys at Frank and Oak. You know, Everlane's doing some great things. For us, in terms of competitors, our bullseye's on Men's Warehouse, right? Our bullseye's on Jose Banks. We want to take them down. We respect the guys at Suit Supply. We think what they're doing is really awesome too. But you know, for us, the name doesn't lie. Like we put our heads down. We're in Irvine. We're not in San Francisco. We're not in New York City. And we're here for a reason, because we rid ourselves of the distraction and just try to scale faster than everybody else.
So Indochino's not on your radar.
No.
Or Gilt. Is it Gilt's another one?
Gilt's like a flash sale site.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Indochino is a custom. They do custom suits where you measure yourself. For us, we believe in the art of tailoring way too much to let any one person measure themselves. First and foremost, you should never measure yourself or have someone else, an untrained tailor, measure you. Because I mean, at the end of the day, if you're getting a custom suit, which we just launched our made to measure, it should be custom to you, right? And that tailor who's talking to you or addressing your needs and concerns understands how to reflect that on the garment. When you're telling your brother or your sister or your mom or your girlfriend or whoever to measure you, they don't know what the hell they're doing. You could show them all the videos they want. It's not going to work.
That's the part that always made me nervous.
Yeah.
Was like having, you know, I don't want to trust anybody else but a tailor to take my measurements. I wouldn't even know where to begin, like doing my own.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, for us, we launched our made to measure, and the only way you can get a made to measure suit from us at Combat Gent is by coming to see one of our tailors. So
In Irvine.
In Irvine, we do a lot of traveling tailors. So we were in New York a couple weeks ago. Fuck, I don't even remember the dates, but we were in New York a couple weeks ago. We're doing an event on Thursday in Irvine. We're doing events on Robertson in LA, right across from the Ivy. We're gonna be doing that in a couple weeks. So we try to get our tailors out there as much as possible. But to be completely honest, the bulk of our business is in the ready to wear, right? And that's what we have on the site at all times, and people can buy. Specifically because we feel that we perfected our patterns and fits to the point where you can buy a $200 suit or $160 suit from us, go to the tailor, spend another $40 in alteration, and it fits as well as a made-to-measure suit. We really took the time to develop the patterns based off the data from our guys. So if you follow the brand from very early on to where we are today, we're really vocal on like fashion forum boards, on Reddit and stuff like that. We love to get the feedback from our guys, and since I'm a tailor, I can adapt that right away into our next collection. So it really, what we get is a consensus of what's working and what's not working, and it lets us kind of adapt really, really quick.
Designed by committee.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Reddit.
Yeah.
How involved are you guys in Reddit?
Reddit is a double-edged sword, right? You can get flamed on there really easily, and you can get loved on there really easily. So really, we try not to be too involved, but really when people have questions, comments, or concerns, we try to address them as fast as possible. We spent a lot of time on a men's forum board called Dappered, which does really well for us. It's really, for us, we get to talk to our consumers and ask them what they want. I throw out sample swatches, and I say, hey, let me know what you guys think of these. I'm thinking of these for spring, summer, or fall, winter, or whatever. And then they jump in and say, hey, can you do this, or can you add a patch pocket, or can
That's awesome.
So we try to do a small curated part of the collection that's made by the
So is
customers.
Dappered a forum or a subreddit?
Dappered is a forum. It's dappered.com, and it's also a review site. They also spend a lot of time reviewing products that a lot of menswear guys or companies are bringing out, and they review them. But their forum board is really, really, really awesome.
So do you do that right before product launches to kind of get a general consensus?
We try to stay away from marketing on there. What we try to do is keep just a general dialogue constantly going and saying, hey, what can we do to be better, and what can we do to help you guys out? At the same time, let us know what you guys want, and it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
very
I mean, we take the negative comments with the good comments, and we get a ton of negative comments here and there. For us, we're a scaling startup, so shipping was a big hiccup for us early part of last year. We got that figured out. For us, since we are vertically integrated and we have to like shave sheep and buy raw cotton and all this stuff, the supply chain is a lot slower than that of like a J. Crew or a Zara, where they could just like throw hordes of cash at the problem and just say, we'll get half the world to make our product. So for us, it's scaling is also a double-edged sword, where you got to be careful. You got to know where you got to put your money and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how are you keeping up with the demand?
yeah, it's been tough. That's been one of our biggest headaches is.
I see a lot of stuff sold out.
Yeah. So we're kind of known, I guess, for that. It's good and bad. In the sense where like, a lot of our guys who love our stuff want to keep coming back, but unfortunately the pace at which we're growing versus the amount of product we're able to output has been at lag. But as we're growing, we're opening up new facilities. We're finding new raw material vendors. We're working, constantly in upgrading the supply chain. My background's in supply chain. I spent my whole life in supply chain. My last company before this was a trading firm that did production for a lot of streetwear brands in SoCal. So learning how to essentially get the product on such a granular level, and then exporting it out and making sure that the customers get it is part of my process and my expertise, I guess. So we're constantly drilling on that, constantly trying to make it better.
So how'd you go about the whole learning curve? You mentioned you cut your own sheep. I mean, you trim your own sheep. And
Yeah. So, I think for us, it's something that we've seen a lot of the bigger guys do, which is go vertical and control their raw material. When people think about supply chain, they think about owning the factory as like the number one thing they need, the final production factory where the people are actually sewing and putting together the garments. And really, that's not necessarily the biggest hurdle. It's controlling your raw material, and that's where a lot of the factories when their customers don't have the expertise of how to get the raw material, that's where the factories really make their money. They're like, oh shit, this guy has no fucking idea on how to get like wool, right? So let's mark this product up, and we'll make our money on the wool. We won't make our money on. We'll give him a good price on the production, so he thinks it's really good, and blah blah blah. And that's really where the middleman starts to seep in. So what we did was what I saw when I was working in Japan and stuff like that, a lot of the bigger brands would be like, no, fuck you. I'm going to give you guys my buttons. I'm going to give you my thread. I'm going to give you everything because I'm going to source it myself and cut out all the bullshit in between. And I kind of took a lesson from that. I was like, okay, well, if we can find our own, looming construction in terms of like developing cloth and all that kind of stuff, if we can really go down to the grain, essentially, we don't really have to worry about our final production facilities, because that gets really, if you want to own and operate a final production facility, it gets really cumbersome, and you always have to have product running, and if you don't have product running, there's people who are going to leave and all that kind of stuff. So really we want to control. Luckily for us, it was the hardest process to control, but at the same time the most fruitful. So that's kind of how we learned and jumped in on that. So yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
was curious, like, because the price point is so affordable,
Right.
that I guess people would wonder, like, well, is there still a good amount of margin in there?
Yeah.
And hopefully, right,
Yeah.
if there is, then how is that even possible?
Yeah, so I mean that's really where it is. Really, a lot of the brands. So say you want to start a clothing brand today, 99% of the general public would go out and, I don't know, try to like go on Alibaba or something like that,
Right.
and find a factory and say, hey, I want to make this product. You figure it out for me. You make this product and do all that stuff. So the factory will come back to them with the standardized price and say, hey, I'm gonna make this underwear for you, and it's $9. Now you don't know what's incurred in that $9, right? That underwear that they're charging you $9 for them on their margin, it could be huge. They may have found the cotton, for pennies on the dollar or something like that, and they're like, it's PFD or gray material, and they're just dyeing it for you or something like that. So we really went down the process and kind of went down through the informatics of the back end and said, hey, what does this really cost? And then we found, hey, a lot of the raw material is super cheap. A lot of the pricing that the customers are getting gouged on are from the factory, because at the end of the day, they're out there picking up the phones and saying, hey, I have this order, I need this much cotton, or blah, blah, blah. And they're adding that cost into their final production cost.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But the raw materials themselves are coming from China and Italy?
Our raw material, all our wool is coming from Italy.
Okay.
All of our cotton, about 90% of our cotton comes from northern India. And then all of it gets shipped over to China for final production.
Got it.
Yeah.
And you were saying that you've got about 8
Factories in China, yeah. So 8 factories in China. Between all of them, they do everything from our like chinos to our pants, our shirts, our suits, any kind of like our tie accessories, stuff like that. So that between all those, we kind of have everything figured out, including dyeing and washing and all that kind of stuff.
What sells the most?
Suits, hands down.
Suits sell the most,
yeah.
and those are the custom fit ones.
No, those are the ready-to-wear suits.
Those are the ready-to-wear
the
suits.
ready-to-wear suits on the site. The next big thing is obviously shirts and ties. Basically, for us, we try to solve a major problem, right? There are a lot of brands that are popping up online that are like, oh, this T-shirt is, vertically produced, and it's a $40 T-shirt, and there's a lot of cool stuff and novelty that's coming out, but really what we try to do is create clothing that matters. Our guys have a problem, and that was they don't know where to find affordable suits that are tailored well and are fashion forward to a certain extent, without having to go to H&M and find like a douchey dragon studded on the back of this jacket.
Falls apart after
Yeah.
wearing it twice.
Yeah. So for us, it's about creating clothing that matters, and that's really where we sit in the market, I think.
What can you attribute the growth of the company to, as far as like, do you rely on word of mouth? Because honestly, like the first time I ever heard of the company was I saw a Facebook ad.
Yeah, Facebook's huge for us. So what we've noticed is our guy always has a tab open, whether he's in a real estate firm or he's in finance or whatever. It seems like our guy always has Facebook open, and that's where we started building a community, and we started doing a little bit of ads on Facebook, and it just kind of took off because a lot of our guys would see the ads and at lunch maybe buy something or something like that. And then what we saw was word of mouth was really, really big, especially in big finance cities. So New York, DC, Boston, Atlanta, Houston was really, really big for us. Guys would go to bars and say, hey, like, I got this suit for $160. Like, I got 3 of them, and now like my wardrobe's done. I'm good to go for like 3-4 months and all that kind of stuff. So that's really how it's spread, and Facebook kind of is where our community kind of thrives and lives on, and we're really happy about that because, again, we can listen to our customers on there and take feedback and all that kind of stuff.
Wow, that's awesome. So yeah, the Facebook pay-per-click ads, that's like huge right now, and I know that Instagram's going to be launching a similar component.
Yeah, we're launching with them this week, actually.
Okay, you are?
Yeah.
So is that public now, or is that...
So Instagram, so Facebook releases stuff on beta form with like their super user clients, and then they seed it out to everybody. So I would think it would be probably towards the end of the year, it'd be open up to all small businesses. We're helping them beta test right now on Instagram. So Facebook runs Instagram, right? So Facebook runs it all. You can actually run your ads through Facebook's backend, which is super convenient and all that kind of stuff.
On Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. What's really cool? I think a lot of people there's a lot of mystery behind ads on Facebook and stuff like that. I think there's a huge population of businesses that just don't get it and think like, okay, I put an ad on Facebook, why is it not working? And then there are it's a really small group of brands that understand how it works. And what I mean by that is that there are people with real brands with real soul, and then there are companies who are just doing it to make money. And that's the wrong way of looking at it. The consumer's really, really fucking smart, right? And if you think you're gonna dupe them, you're a dumbass and you shouldn't be in business anyway. So we try to create helpful ads like, this is how you style chinos 3 ways, or this is how, we'll put up ads that have nothing to do with our product, right? Like, we just believe in certain parts of lifestyle. We launched our blog a couple weeks ago called Unhemmed, which is unhmd.com, which is everything to do with our lifestyle, nothing to do with our clothing, right? And we believe in that. We believe that we don't have to sell you on our product all the time. We feel that to be a combatant gentleman, you lead a certain lifestyle. We love that lifestyle. It's a bunch of millennial dudes in our office running around like talking shit and doing crazy shit, and we want to be with other like-minded professional individuals who like that. So, I always get questions about people. How do you guys have so many followers on YouTube and this and that? It's not because of ads. It's because they like the lifestyle. Right, they like the brand. We take a lot of time and effort. Like that shot right there, like that's in Miami, right? Like everyone knows that iconic shot. Like a lot of these things come from like Hong Kong. We were in Montreal. Like we take the time to really shoot amazing stuff and then put that on Facebook as well. So
when you go on unhemmed.com and you say lifestyle, what are some things that you might find on there? Yeah,
so we do a lot of like tips and tricks, like top 10 tips for best man giving a speech at a wedding, or top 10 burger spots that you don't know in the United States that you should check out, all the way down to how to dress for a job interview. We do a lot of huge video series where we spend a lot of time and money in developing cool YouTube videos where we go out and show you like the top bars in LA and New York and Atlanta and DC and all that kind of stuff, all the way down to restaurants you should know. So we go in there, talk to the chefs, all that kind of stuff. So really, a really big lifestyle component on what our guy likes to do, which is, obviously spend money on shit that really matters, not clothing all the time. Right.
Right. It all ties into that lifestyle, and then eventually leads back to how you dress.
Yeah, exactly. And we know that our guys who are loyal will always come back, and they love our product, and we're creating this product specifically for them. We don't follow fashion trends and stuff like that to a certain extent when it comes to our product, because we know what our guys feel comfortable in. So what we do follow is the lifestyle, Don't get me wrong, I'm for me myself personally as a creative director, I'm like a huge fashion head, but when it comes to our product and where our guys can use the product and where they're going to get the most return on investment on is at work. So we have to know that, right? And that's something that we take really, really, really seriously.
So how did the first year go versus like where you are now? Like, I'm just curious because anyone who's an entrepreneur and starts something like from the ground up, and you have all these like hopes and ambitions or whatever, and like you put every single ounce of your being into it,
definitely.
And then like where's the ROI, where's the break even,
Yeah.
and the first year could be a ton of sacrifice. I mean, I'm sure you're still sacrificing things to this point, but hopefully by now have seen a profit and it's going well.
Yeah, definitely. So where we were the first year was it was a lot of money going out we were completely bootstrapped for the first year. So Mo, Scott, and I we ended up living between here in San Francisco very early on. Because we wanted to raise capital from venture capitalists in San Francisco, and for us being in Irvine, we felt like it was almost impossible. So we went back and forth from Redwood City to Irvine every 3 days. We were coming back and forth, and it was just like what they call it, the Sandhill Shuffle. We had launched. We had a little bit of success. We were selling. We hadn't launched suits yet. We were just selling shirts and ties, and they were blowing out. So we're like, okay, we have some traction. Let's go up north and let's see if we can figure it out. It took us about a year to even walk in some doors and say, hey, we have something here. It was a lot of no's. And then we were lucky enough to bump into Will Young of Zappos, who's one of their lead investors, and Tony Hsieh. And they were like...
Tony Hsieh himself.
Yeah. And they were like, hey... it's funny because we're at Vegas and they were building the Vegas Tech Fund.
Yep.
Which has obviously gotten some notoriety recently and some good press and bad press, but what they are still doing is amazing, and what they have done is amazing over there. And me coming from Vegas is so interesting to see what they're doing in my hometown, which in downtown where they launched this whole thing used to be like Skid Row times 97, right? It was insane.
It's awesome now what they've done.
Yeah. So we actually pitched to them and they were like, we love it, we think it's great, we'll lead you around. And once they said that, it was like, holy shit, this onflow of like the investor community came on. We closed the round real quick. I think we closed the round within like 6 days after that. But before then, it was just me writing checks or stealing money from my parents. Like,
so how many investors did you have on your first round of funding?
We had, let's see, about eight VCs.
Okay.
Yeah. And some angels as well. So
okay.
Yeah. So we have like a couple angels that are notable, like Brian Spaley from Trunk Club, who is the original founder of Bonobos. Tom Ryan, the original founder of Threadless. We have like Frederick Court, who's like a huge fashion investor. Some great guys, just some amazing guys.
Awesome. So are you guys still looking for investors?
No, right now we've never actually raised another round. We became profitable thereafter. So for us, selling equity for a product doesn't make too much sense to us. Obviously, as we scale and we look at what offline looks for us and what the next huge step for the company is, we'll definitely take that into consideration. But for right now, we're kind of known as the guys who took the seed round and never had to raise again, which is rare. It happens, but it's really rare, especially in a company that's fashion tech, because you do put a lot of money out there for a product. It's just that we had the background in fashion tech. Like, you see like people like the founders of Bonobos came from like business school, and you see like a lot of these people, their first thing to do with the cash is like, okay, we're going to deploy it in a couple sections. We're going to deploy it into people, we're going to deploy it into product, and we're going to deploy it into growth, right? And for us, it was like, okay, we don't need the people. We have the people. Throw that away. I don't want to talk to anyone from J. Crew or Saks, because what the fuck are they going to know, right? That I can't tell them. And two, like when it comes to growth, I'm a huge brand guy. I've been around some of the biggest brands my whole life. You can't force that growth. So we've always drilled back on that and said, hey, this is a tightrope, and we got to walk on it really slowly. We can't just go from 0 to 100.
It's got to be organic.
It's got to be organic. It's got to be fresh, because you will overmarket your community, and at that point you're essentially screwed, right? So for us, it was like we have a lot to say, and a lot, and there's no stop clock on when we can stop saying it or stop telling the story. It's a long story, and we want to tell it over and over and over again. We don't have to like vomit it out there to the community.
Do you think people vomit it out to the community because they're afraid that competitors are going to jump on board and take over?
And what you're exactly right, because like look, there's like how many Warby competitors out there? There's how many Nasty Gal competitors out there? There's a lot of competition, but where we come and look at it is a different view. We look at it through a different window. It's like if we didn't have the competition, I wouldn't know where to base my next move on, right? Because I'm going to outwork that competition. I know that. I'm not scared of it, and I'm going to outskill that competition. I know it. I'm not scared of it. A lot of people think I'm a brute or just a hint of arrogant, but I was born in this. Like, I don't give a fuck what you can bring. I will bring it harder.
I feel like you kind of have to have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very Gary V. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Gary Vee's, like, I'm a huge fan of him. I agree with everything he says, but I think you got to know. I mean, go to any mall. There's a Nordstrom's, a Macy's, a Neiman's, a Saks. Like, if that's not competition that's all thriving in the same space, I don't know what is, right? And a lot of it, the mentality of competition comes from software, right? It comes from SaaS, especially in Silicon Valley, where competition can break you, right? Salesforce closed how many different CRM companies down, right? It doesn't work that way in brand. It doesn't work that way in fashion, right? Because you are catering to your market, right? Our guy is not the Bonobos guy. Our guy is not the Indochino guy. Our guy is our guy, right? And if he changes and adapts and becomes our guy, we love that. That's great. But there's more than enough, meat on the table for everyone to eat.
Love that. Dude. What do you guys have?
Let's talk about the Haberdashery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
tell us about that.
Why is that the name anyway of the showroom and stuff?
So the Haberdashery. So we created the Haberdashery specifically because we wanted a home for our guys to come in and view the office, but at the same time be a part of the brand and really be a part of it in a really easygoing environment. So it was our first entryway into offline. The reason why we called it the Haberdashery is because Combat Gent is the beginning of what we are creating as an umbrella group of brands. We're launching a shoe component at the end of this year called Toe Cap, and we're launching a home furnishing component next year called the Batch Pad. Right?
I want to hear all about that.
Yeah. So basically what we wanted to do was say, hey, if we call it Combatant Gentlemen, we can't bring in the other brands and all that kind of stuff. We didn't want to create confusion. We really wanted to be deliberate about what we're doing. And for us, heritage is huge. And the word haberdashery is specifically based off of Old English, Savile Row, men's shop. Come in here, have a good time. Don't buy anything if you don't want to. Just hang out with us. Like have a beer, watch a game or whatever, and just hang out with us. And it turned out to be really, really successful because we have guys who are coming in there from LA, from all over the place. We had a guy come in 2 days ago from Japan, like to do a made-to-measure suit. We were just like, holy shit, you're coming into an office building in Irvine out of all these places. So we are actually expanding that concept. We're actually most likely picking up a lease in LA to do the same thing on Robertson.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So this is a place where people go, get fitted,
be a part of the brand,
feel the fabric.
Yeah, come in and you feel the fabric, try the stuff on, get styled, meet one of our stylists, be a part of what we're doing. Come in and shoot the shit. Don't even have to buy anything.
And then you can invite the head honcho in for your podcast episode.
Yeah, so that's actually how this came to be. Is that almost all of the men of this office went in.
Yeah, awesome.
A few weeks ago, and a few of us got measured, ordered custom suits, bought shirts online, did the whole thing. Yeah. Had the whole experience, and it was great. In fact, the guy who was heading up the whole thing, the stylist, it turns out, Eric, I went to high school with him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
E-Love.
Yeah. Cool. E-Love. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's a really, really good setup there. You've got those doors, those huge doors. Those are from Versace.
Yeah, so those are the doors. My dad and my uncle kept those doors. So those were the last doors commissioned by Gianni himself before he was killed by Rocco Magnoli, his architect. And we saved those doors in storage after we sold back the store to Versace. And I was like, hey, let's monumentalize these things because they were like literally sitting in storage. And I was like, hey, these things would be sick in the showroom. So we put up a little story, and those are the actual last doors he was a part of designing and developing. So we're super happy to have those doors in the.
So I want to go back to like the apprenticeship and the tailoring. Yeah. How does that work? Is it like chefs where you can sit in and stodge, where you just kind of learn? Or
yeah. So there's a lot of forms of tailoring, right? I mean, you can be a made-to-measure tailor, which just learns about human body measurements, all the way down to what I do, which is like full-on cut and sew. Like my hands are like torn up because like that's what I do. So 90% of the time, like I'm in design mode, and like that's why I look like a scrub when I'm like not having to deal with things, because I'm like in the lab cutting, sewing, developing patterns, thinking about patterns, drawing, sketching, anything to do with that kind of stuff, that's more of like an apprentice tailor, right? So it all depends on what you want to do. For my dad, we didn't spend a lot of time like throwing the ball or I played football my whole childhood all the way up to high school. Guy never came to one game, but I could sew blindfolded with him and like race him and stuff like that. Like that's where we spent our time. Like, and that's what we learned to do. Or that's what I learned to do, and that's kind of how it started. So that's my apprenticeship. It was every day after school for about 4 hours, going to his tailor shop at that point before they had the stores, and just learning.
So you got to learn by proximity. Your dad.
Yeah.
What if some like one of us wanted to be like, dude, it'd be freaking cool to learn.
Yeah,
by tailor.
there's still a good amount of people doing apprenticing. I actually just found out that the Ralph Lauren store in South Coast Plaza, like their Master Tailor, he apprenticed kids at the store itself. They have apprenticeship. I just found that out. There's a lot of people in LA who do apprenticing, especially for like modern custom stuff like denim and stuff like that. You go to Self Edge. I think they do something interesting. So there's a lot of different ways. I think most people, they would end up going to like FIT'em, which is like down the street from here. And there's a good tailoring program over there as well. So. Yeah.
Did you catch any shit growing up being the football player that can sew blindfolded?
Yeah, no, my whole life, everyone thought I was just like this weird kid because I had this like huge sensitive side, but then I was like a defensive tackle and like 300 pounds in high school, and like I would knock someone down on their ass, and then I'd be like, "Oh shit!
Let me sew that patch in your pants."
So yeah, it's just for me. It's always been interesting. Growing up in the family we grew up in, it was always fashion based, right? So, it was never like football and like growing up in Las Vegas and like being a car head and all that kind of stuff. Kind of was like my secret hobbies, right? But like at home, it was always about the business, and it was always about fashion, and it was like, let's look at runway, let's read Women's Wear Daily and see what happened at Fashion Week and stuff like that. So it was just really, really interesting way of growing up.
That's awesome, man. Let's touch on two more things before we go. Batch pad and toe cap.
Yeah.
Talk about those. So
toe cap is something that was purely derived from our customers just asking for it a lot. Was, hey, we spent $160 suit. We spent $160 on your suit. Like, for us to get a decent pair of shoes, we're gonna have to spend another $160, and they're not even that great. Can you guys do the same model that you did for the suits for shoes? And we're like, yeah, sure, no problem. And one of our biggest things was, our suits are comparable to that of Hugo Boss, right? $160 suit, and a lot of people can't wrap their heads around that. And for us, what was that equivalent to a shoe? And that means for us, it has to be a wooden sole and it has to be Goodyear welted, right? So that's what we did. We spent a lot of time working with a lot of smaller factories. We ended up finding a really amazing factory in India who does Goodyear welting for shoes. And we started sourcing leather that we were tanning ourselves in Uribe, Spain, and then bringing it down to India. And it developed this amazing Goodyear welted shoe that compares to any Allen Edmond or anything like that out in the market for $100. And so we're really excited to be launching that.
When does that go live?
December.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one type of shoe?
No, it's going to be, we're starting off with 6 styles. So an Oxford, a brogue, lace up, a loafer, in 3 different colors each. And then we're going to start expanding the line from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then what about batch pad?
Batch pad, yeah. So batch pad was an idea that Mo, Scott, and I have been tossing around for a long time because when we were younger, we'd have to go to IKEA and Target and all this shit to find something that was cool, but it all was like unisex, right? And we were like, no, like we want like amazing Scotch glasses, or we want like really cool or really modern like bed sheets or a rug or throw pillow or something like that to really kind of, if we're gonna bring a girl over, we want them to be like, okay, you know what you're doing. You furnished your home at least somewhat cool.
And it's masculine.
It's masculine. So we came up with the idea. I was like, how come we should just make an IKEA for men? Just like the accoutrements that you can add to your home lifestyle that sets you apart from that guy who literally IKEA'd the shit out of his place, right?
Right.
So, that was the idea. And for us, we've been working on the supply chain and we're just about ready to rock with it.
What are a couple of your few products that you're gonna?
Yeah, so we do one thing that we're really proud about is bathroom accessories for guys. So like toothbrush holder, shaving kit, stuff like that, like all in your bathroom, and then like throw pillows and rugs and bed sheets and stuff like that for like your bed, because that's the most important part we think of when you bring company over. That's what they're gonna see, and that's the impression you want to make, right?
I have one last question. I have to ask you this. What is like a fashion trend, or what is like a fashion miscue that you see all the time that just drives you crazy and you just want to like strangle somebody over?
Yeah, well, to me, I always tell those people fashion is subjective. If you feel good in it, fuck what anyone else thinks. But I think like shorts and suits, I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever fucking seen. I mean, I get it. It's British contemporary fashion, but it looks stupid. That's just me. It looks ridiculous. Stop it.
We saw that guy in Vegas who was like barefoot, or he was like wearing sandals and a suit or something.
Yeah, I saw a guy in Vegas wearing a onesie.
Yeah, Vegas is where fashion goes to die. I'm gonna get heat for that comment, but I don't give a
just
shit.
got back from Vegas last night. I was there over the weekend.
Okay, yeah, I'm from there. I have a 702 tattoo on my back, so I can get away with saying.
How about like little things? I'm thinking like something that just drives me crazy is when I see guys who don't know how long their tie should be. Like it's super long past the belt buckle or way up too high. Like, is there anything like that just sets you off?
Yeah, when guys button their 2-button suits, they button both the buttons. I hate that.
What other things? What are some things like to the people listening? They're like,
what's a tip?
Oh, I didn't know that this has to match that, or that you don't button this button, or like what are some things like that?
Yeah, I hate belts. I think like belts just proving to the general public that you don't have a tailor. I know it's in the fashion accoutrement, but really you should be wearing no belt if you tailor your stuff right. I'm assuming everyone in here is wearing a belt.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, sorry. I'm just saying.
But you bring up a good point because we wear it for the fashion, not the functionality.
I would say I don't need to wear a belt.
Yeah.
Like when I wear a suit like Jay over there, like I just like to bring in a little bit of color there. But my pants are all tailored.
Yeah, no, I get why people do it.
But not even for the fashion side.
No,
you're saying.
not even for the fashion side. I think it just looks cleaner on the silhouette. I mean, especially like you're wearing a patterned pant, it looks great as is. You don't need that extra hint of tobacco to like set off the pant. Like the white shirt does it for you.
Looking good, Jay.
I'm just like.
Too bad this isn't a video.
Yeah, I'm a diva. So
keep going. I want to hear more. Not about me.
Yeah, I think one thing that I really am starting to hate is how many people are knocking off the Tom Ford peak lapels. And you see these smaller, like the reason he made those peak lapels is because it's genuine. I don't think he meant for it to become such a trend in fashion. But let's be honest, he created that huge peak lapel look, and like now you go to Vegas and see every like door guy like with this huge lapel coming out to his ears. It's meant for bigger guys. That's why he did it for those guys, and then it kind of carried on to all these like smaller suitors who are doing these huge peak lapels, and these smaller frame guys just look ridiculous in them. It doesn't make any sense. The whole tennis shoes with suits, like don't do it.
Drives me crazy.
Like I understand like common projects and stuff like that. I get that, but when you're rocking like a Air Force One or like a SB, like a Nike SB, it looks ridiculous. Other than that, I mean, I think for me, again, I say all this stuff, but I always tell people fashion is subjective. If you feel powerful in that getup, you will act powerful in that getup. And so fuck what I say, fuck what anyone says. Do what you want to do. Like
you look good, you feel good.
Yeah.
Help me understand this. And this is like the airport outfit for men, and I don't get it. You probably could even
suit, blazer, and jeans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why?
Why? So that's a lot. That's a big misnomer that's going on in fashion, is that I can break apart this suit and wear the blazer with jeans. It's like yes and no. When you wear a blazer, it's usually shorter. And it's usually like of some kind of pattern or different texture than a suit fabric. Mm-hmm. So yeah, exactly, and it's usually like half constructed or something like that. So I get the whole corporate casual look. I just think a lot of guys need to think about like they'll pull out a pinstripe suit jacket and throw that on with a pair of jeans, and it's just like no man. But you see a lot of baby boomers do that. right? I think a lot of the young,
it's an older crowd for sure.
Yeah, which is in my opinion, do what you want to do. I mean, you're at the end of your fashion realm world, but I think for the younger guys, when I see millennials in the airport, like I'm pleasantly we're always flying. Like tomorrow, I'm flying again. Like I'm always at John Wayne or LAX, and I'm pretty surprised, pretty happy with the way they do. I really like the whole trend of the whole jogger / athletic couture thing that's going on with like Josh Elliott and Todd Snyder and all these guys are like doing these cool this Kith. There's a lot of these cool brands that are coming out that are doing this upscaled streetwear stuff. I'm a big fan of that stuff. I see a lot of that going on too.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I got 2 more questions. So earlier you mentioned Warby Parker being an influence. Yeah. I remember seeing, I think it was an Entrepreneur magazine where you were being compared as like
it was
the Warby Parker of like men's fashion. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, Inc did that, and I think we were really, really pleased to see that because I think for a long time, a lot of people were comparing us to like Bonobos and stuff like that, and really we think of ourselves as a completely different kind of brand, and it was huge. I think Neil Blumenthal, who's I'm a huge fan of, I think is an inspiration to all of us in the direct consumer space, and that's what we call it. Like we're going direct to consumer, and I think we couldn't have asked for anything better than that. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then,
what's your second question?
Now I have 2 extra questions.
Yeah.
Like Frank and Oak and all those subscription style boxes, like Birchbox and stuff. Like, do you guys have any? Do you have any plans to do that with Combatant Gentlemen? I think it'd be fairly easy to do that.
It would be fair. It would be fair. I think for us, the way we're set up is, we want to be there when you need us, right? And I think a lot of the big thing that never gets mentioned about these subscription boxes is how many people are unsubscribing from them, right? It's because people realize that 30 days is not a long time, right? And then they get another box and they haven't even used part of the stuff that's on the last box and all that stuff. We don't want to trick our consumer. We don't want to force these sales on you, right? Like we want you to come to us when you need to come to us. And if you want to buy, we have guys in the East Coast who buy 15 shirts a month because they don't want to go dry cleaning in New York City, right? So for us, it's super easy to do so, but we really believe that, again, we don't want to push the brand on you. We want you to use us as a resource, and we'll be here. We'll be right here to help you guys out whenever we need to. But the subscription box thing to me feels like such a fad, and I just hate being a part of fads.
Cool.
Yeah.
And your favorite book that you often give to people?
Yeah, anything by Gary Vaynerchuk. That's huge for me. He's got jab, right hook, or whatever.
Jab, right hook.
Yeah. Crush
Have you
It.
ever heard of that book?
Yeah. Crush It was huge. The Thank You Economy was huge. There's also a book, I forget who writes it. It's called The Intelligent Entrepreneur. I forgot who. It was about 4 HBS grad entrepreneurs in the early .com boom. It was really good. And then Art of War. That's
standard.
Yeah, that's a if you're gonna run a team, that's a definite. I'm gonna run a team. I need to know how to run a team. That book is solid.
That's awesome. Well, I cannot thank you enough for being on this podcast, Vishaal, and for coming off your flight out of LA from China at 7 a.m. and driving here
4 hours ago.
Yeah, we really, really appreciate it. So to the listeners, obviously there's the website, combatantgentlemen.com.
It's combatgent.com.
Oh, combatgent.
Yeah.
Combatgent.com. The blog, the lifestyle blog, which is unhemmed, UNHEMD.
No, UNHMD.com.
UNHMD.
Yep.
.com.
Yeah, it's also on the Combat Gent site too. If you just click on Unhemmed.
Awesome. And you guys are on Instagram as well?
Yeah, Combat Gent at Combat Gent and at Combat Gent on Twitter as well.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much for being on the show, Vishaal.
Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
If you would like to be on the Prestige Living podcast or know someone that would be a great guest, go to www.prestigelivingpodcast.com. We'd love to hear your story.